Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. We're so glad to have you here, and it's good to be back. We were in Alabama for a couple of weeks, enjoying some time with friends. Got to house sit in this beautiful, gorgeous house with a lake and just really enjoy some time together. Our son drove out, and we got to spend some time with him too. So I love the flexibility that this business lends us, and I love that I didn't have to ask my boss for time off. I did. And she said, yeah, she's very flexible. She's kind that way. So I appreciate her. But it was just a lot of fun. I got to see friends that I wouldn't have otherwise. And Tap just asked a great question right before we started this because I did 5 sourdoughs events, and I was saying I had about 20 friends and some customers, canceled customers, other team members that weren't really involved. That sourdough just brings people to the table, and it is more work. Like it was a lot of work. There was a lot of coordinating ahead of time, getting them the dried mother so that they could start it and get it going the couple weeks beforehand. I had some of them gave me their mother, so I was like babysitting their mothers and trying to get them happy because they just weren't really bubbly, and it was a lot, but it was still fun because there was a lot of conversations that were we had that I wouldn't have had access to these same people. I don't think they would have come just to a regular event. So I feel like I can get people like that to a big event, which is like a doctor coming into town or someone that I'm bringing in and hosting as a speaker. I can get a lot of people to those type events. And then these sourdough events definitely draw people in. So Tap had a great question. She asked, how do we bring a confident and bold Juice Plus conversation into these sourdough events? And then also asking, like, do we actually get customers from that? And I wanted to address that. I was actually thinking about talking on that exact topic, and it kind of goes to managing expectations. Okay, so we've talked about this before, in that oftentimes we do something and then we want like immediate results from it. And sometimes we do get that, right? Like you'll have a conversation with someone and you very first bring Juice Plus up to the conversation, and it's exactly the right timing for them. It's what they've been looking for. They've been wanting something. They've been like waiting for somebody to come tell them about fruits and vegetables in capsule, and they order on the spot and they're ready to order. But I want you guys to really think about that. Think of your customer base and how often that happens. It's not very often, right? And so the same thing happens, I feel like, at events. You do the event and you have the conversations sort of without expectation, understanding you're going to have way more conversations that honestly lead to nowhere, that never go any place. And you're just like, I don't know that even, why did I have that conversation? I got her information and then we had a really good conversation and then it's totally ghosted. Case in point, I'm getting my nails done. The girl next to me, super bubbly, happy. She's headed to Disney. She's just talking to me, talking to the guy that's doing her nails. So I just start asking her questions. She teaches cheer and something else that kind of connected with what we do. So at one point I just asked her, are you at all interested in nutrition? And she was like, yeah. And we talked about it. They were moving this summer. And oh, she's a hairdresser. And she mentioned she's going to have to find a new clientele every time she moves, and she has to move often with her husband. So I'm thinking that would be stable income for her with Juice Plus, right? So I just asked her, are you at all interested in nutrition? And then she said, yeah. And I said, that's actually what I do. Have you ever heard of Juice Plus? I just went into it. She was very interested. In fact, she said, I'm going to need to get your information. I really would like some information on that. So she texted me and said, hey, it's Allie. She was leaving. I sent her some information. I heard nothing back. They were headed to Disney. Then I reached back out again. Hey, what'd you think of that information? I have heard nothing back. I can have the expectation. She was so excited. She'll be the perfect team member. When she gets this, she's just going to take off and she's going to run. And then I could be thinking now, she hates me. The conversation was terrible. I did it all wrong. I should have said this. I shouldn't have said that. And she's not interested. Nobody's interested in this business. And like, stop talking to people, right? Most likely, she's not going to contact me back. But on the chance encounter that it's just not the right timing. And I stay in contact with her just enough, now I can't just keep going back and saying, hey, what do you think of the video? Hey, what do you think of the video? I'm going to have to change tactics. I asked her, how was Disney? I did try to get like a conversation going. How did the competition go? But she said they're busy. They're going to be moving. Why do I expect that? She doesn't know me, and her knowledge of nutrition was low. Like, it wasn't the highest interest, right? Like, why do I think that my conversation is somehow going to move to the top of her priority list? Like, that's an unfair expectation that I don't get to have on somebody. And so I don't get to be disappointed because it wasn't the highest expectation, right? That's just unfair to them, and it's unfair to me. But the consistency of reaching out and just doing the work without expectation really opens up our mind. It kind of opens our hands with, like, we come in with an open hand, an open heart, an open mind to conversations, and they don't feel the pressure and you don't feel the pressure because it's lots of conversations out there. So it is managing our expectations of what somebody else is going to have. So, if I'm doing a sourdough event or any event and I have expectations that people are going to order and they don't, I'm going to be disappointed. And guys, I was disappointed. I mean, there's a lot of work, and I got one order there in Alabama. And I was like, dang it, one order? That was so much work, all of these sourdough events. What if I had just said, you know what? That's it. They're not even wanting Juice Plus. People in Alabama don't want to be healthy. Like, I could come up with things. That's not true, right? But I could come up with things, and I could say they didn't order, so they weren't interested. The fortune is in the follow-up. I do the follow-up no matter what. I owe that to them. I said I would do that for them. I had the contact cards this time and had them pass them out. There's now, I mean, if you look on my new office, on the Juice Plus office, it will say you have like 12 new customers or something. Not like in the customer count, but in another box. And I'm like, 12? That means everybody ordered? Nope. That means I sent them all the cart and they've clicked on it. Like, they didn't place the order. So I could say, contact cards don't work. They don't even work. What was the point of doing those? Like, trust me, I have had that conversation with myself, and I had to remind myself, no, manage that expectation. It's just part of getting the order. It's just part of the conversation. It's just part of the event. It's going to be a series of follow-up, all the same. It just is. People are busy. They've got things going on. This is a really super busy month for people with graduation, especially with kids ending school, last banquet for, last games, banquet for sports, all of those things. It's just a lot going on in their minds or with their grandkids. And so managing the expectation of what I think their timing should be is just, it's something it's on my end. And so, Tap, you asked, like, how do we bring Juice Plus into that conversation? I think for me, sourdough is an easy way to bring in the health conversation, where I wouldn't feel as confident doing that. Let's say it's at a paint party. A paint party is fun, a paint and sip or something like that. I'm not saying don't do those events, but to me, that's a harder, like, how do you bring health and wellness into this conversation in an authentic way that doesn't feel like we're, jumping shark? Is that what that saying is? Like, to like, wait, where did that come from? But when we're talking sourdough, we're already inviting on the invitation. It says gut health. And in my invitation, it says a sourdough gut health class. And so I'm setting it up from the beginning that we're talking gut health, and people that are interested in sourdough often know that there is some sort of gut health benefits to it. They don't maybe understand all of the things, but there is some understanding that it's a healthier for your body bread. And so they're kind of wanting to know, why is it healthier? Is it really healthier? What makes it healthier? And so the whole fermented food conversation of probiotics and then feeding the good bacteria well with plants is the discussion, I would say, that lends well with Juice Plus. And so I do that after they make the bread, and then it's sitting, and then I'm going to show them how to tug and tuck it. That has to sit and the texture of the bread changes during that time of that dough. So I want them to see that. So we could all just be standing around during that time. Or I say, we're at the beginning when I'm introducing it, I'll say, when we get to the point where we're going to tug and tug, that's where I'm going to give you the benefits to this dough. But let's just get in and get this mixed up so that we can have it sit, and then we'll be able to do that part. And that's where I do the health talk side of it, where I'm talking fermented foods, and I'm talking about probiotics, good nutrition for the good bacteria being plants. We're not eating enough. Juice Plus is an easy solution, sharing my story, and I'll have a couple of other people share their story. So that's where I bring it into the conversation. And then I always pass out order forms. So I was passing out the contact cards, and I didn't get an order. Like the first 2 classes, there were no orders, but you want to incentivize what you want. Okay. So what is it that you want? If you want an order that night, you're going to need to incentivize it. In my head, from the training we had from the Pajama Regional, the incentive was to give me the contact card and have it filled out. And I got those. I have a whole stack of them. It did work. And then I incentivized that by giving away either a bread knife or a Danish whisk. So I collected the cards. I have them, but that wasn't an order, right? So I was like, I got what I incentivized. So I would say, if you want them to order, then if they have that filled out order form, then those go into a drawing to win one of those things. So think about, are you wanting everyone's contact information, or are you wanting them to order? The other thing that I saw that was different when I was doing it by myself, which is different when you have a team there to help you. And so I'm so appreciative of the team that comes to the sourdough events that I do here. Yes, I was working with team in Alabama, but they were all new to this. They were making bread themselves, right? They wanted to hear and see how to do it themselves. So when you have other team that's there to help you, there's so much that's going on in the background, so that I can really have the conversations with everyone that need to be had, the deeper conversations, especially at the end. So if somebody else is making smoothies, I can be fielding questions about bread and about Juice Plus. I can be going over the order forms with them. And then other people see that people are filling out the order forms. So if I just found I was having to do all of the things, getting the bread out of the oven, slicing the bread, still teaching the class, still I'm doing all of the parts for 12, 15, 20 people. It was a lot. I missed my team. I was like, oh my gosh, my girls that are here, Kim and Natasha, they are faithfully here with me. I was I needed them so bad. So having other people there with you makes a difference. And I didn't get to have those deeper Juice Plus conversations with people. I didn't get to lead them to that order at the end like I typically do when we're standing around in my kitchen. And so there's different aspects of that came into play, but I did realize people were interested, and they did give me their card and they did fill it out, but busyness of this time of year is going to impact the delayed response. And often the conversations that we're having now, we're going to see the fruit of that 3 months later, the fruit of that in our paychecks, in the orders that come through. We really think about that. If your expectation is that I have this conversation and a week later they order, or the day they order, it can stop you from doing the next event because that expectation wasn't met, when all along it's just the momentum of all of those conversations continuing forward to where you do get the results 3 months later. And if you stop, you just don't see that, even though I was on vacation, I'm still listening to Voxer. I'm still answering questions with my team. I'm still connected with them. I still did some events so that I stay in the know of what's going on, and that I don't feel like I completely lose all momentum for 2 or 3 weeks of doing nothing, like that's going to be really hard when I step back into activity. It's going to feel like I'm behind. If you're stopping, and you're not staying plugged in at all, you're going to constantly feel in a state of being behind, that you have to catch up. What's new? What's happened? What's changed? Even in a couple of weeks, you can feel that way. So the momentum of those conversations have to build, and it's just staying in contact with them. I mean, I've got so many sheets of people, from sourdough events. Get their information. You think you're going to remember things? You are not going to remember conversations that you had with them, and they're not going to reach back out to you. It is our job to do this. And Project Broadcast really helps, because now we're talking over 300 people that are on my sourdough contact list. Like, there's no way I could text each one of them. There's just no way, right? But that gives you access to be able to contact all of them at one time, like sharing a video that I find is interesting, or letting them know, hey, I'm going to be doing another sourdough event, or hey, this was like Dr. Valerie Miles' event from the Pajama Regional. Excellent conversation continuation on gut health. It was really good. And so I built 2 events around that right after I got home from Alabama. The first event, I had 3 people that came, and the next event, I had 6 people that came. And I could have been disappointed that it was my mom and her best friend. So it was 2 people that came. It was at her house. I could have been disappointed that there weren't that many people there. But I had to manage my expectations on that. How great of a job did I do inviting? Probably not as best I could, but it was okay. But again, busyness time of year, there were a lot of people that were interested. They just didn't come. And so I want to lead that into the next part of kind of what I want to discuss with you guys, is just asking you, are you using your DMO planner or something? Like, I'm going to reiterate this again. You've got to track the conversations that you're having. If you're not writing them down, you are not doing the follow-up that's going to need to be done to eventually get these orders. It's just no way that you can keep it into your head. So when I have an event, I can be discouraged that I invite a bunch of people and like nobody came. But if I'm underlining the people that showed interest and then highlighting the people that come, I mean, the one girl that came, my mom's friend, wanted to get back on Juice Plus again. That's this business is built one conversation at a time, one order at a time, one team member at a time. Like, it really is. So I could be discouraged. I could have had 13 people come and nobody ordered, but I had one person come and she was ready to get started again, right? So you just don't know, and you just keep doing that activity. But if you don't have some sort of system and some place that you're putting this information of those, next time I do an event in Carlsbad at my mom's house, I can go back to this. Who was the most interested? Who could I send the video to? I did after the event. I said, oh my goodness, we had such a great time. You missed it, but I was able to get the recording. Do you want that? And they were like, yes, that'd be great. So I sent them the recording. So I knew who was interested, who had responded back. Those are the ones that got the recording. I didn't just send it out to the whole list of all 20 of them. And then I know from there, who did I send it to? That's who I follow up with. Hey, did you have a chance to watch that video? What stood out to you? Right. And so that just kind of directs your follow-up as you go, through that next thing. When we're talking new connections, it's the lady at the nail place that I had the conversation. I don't know if it'll go anywhere. Most likely I'm probably not going to hear from her, but just as easily, she could be my next team member that gets to sales coordinator in 2 months. How many times have we heard that, right? Like, you just have the conversations. As long as I'm doing my job on the follow-up on side of it, then I know I did the right thing. I know I'm doing the right activity. I can't manage her response. Like, I can't make her respond, but I can manage my own activity and my own, mindset that goes into that. And who knows, in a year, she could come back to me. I said, save my number as Stacy Turner Juice Plus. And, we don't know where that's going to take us, or where that It could be nothing. I don't know, but I just do the activity anyway. And then building into that follow-up, having people's names written down makes follow-up easy because it's already there. I'm not hunting it. I'm not trying to go through different things and find it. Customer care, that makes it easy when I've got their information written down that they ordered, then that's who I'm going to follow up with that week and just checking back in with them. Partner connections, who's close to a promotion that we can reach back out and look on our office and see who's got how many points and then work individually with those. It's again, it's that person by person conversation with them and just walking through and holding their hands. Connection calls and launch calls, those are a really great way to help support your team. But tracking those, like having some place to write it down, really is an important aspect to getting the results that you want. And it does help you with those expectations, because if you have the expectation it's going to be a delayed response, then you're not shocked by it and you're not going to be irritated by it. But I have to tell you guys, I was in that mindset, like all of this work and I got no orders. Like, what in the world? I'm used to getting orders and team members at events, even cold market people that come. But part of it was I just didn't have the ability to be in those personal conversations at the end because it was chaos. It was a lot. And then, just doing all of it myself. And that's the beauty of having a team that works with you guys on something like that. So I don't know if that fully answers that question, Tap. I hope it kind of gives you some direction on that. I would like to open that up to the rest of you. What are some things that you have found in managing those expectations that has helped keep you moving forward, or that you can look back on and say, because I managed that well, this is the result of that? Does anyone have any stories they would like to share?
Hey, Stacy, good morning. I want to share, I've had to do the same thing. I have done a lot of sourdough events. I've done them at businesses, I've done them at people's homes, and I have to manage my expectations. And it's often the class that you think, oh, this one is going to really, I'm going to get a lot of response from this, or orders or whatever. And I had one a couple of weeks ago, and I knew some of the gals in the room, and I kind of sort of knew some, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be great. And I pass around a sign up sheet so that I can get their name and contact information. I sometimes don't have that, by the way I set up the class, but I asked for that. And then I asked them if they want to be added to the sourdough Facebook group. I asked them if they want to hear more about the plant powders. Do they want to hear about getting Juice Plus for free for their kids? Do they want to be on an invite list for other health events? Those kind of things. And, sometimes I get 14 people that say, yeah, send me information about Juice Plus. Sometimes I get none, you know. So I do have to manage those expectations. But I do love that sign up sheet as a tool. And you're talking about a contact card. I also pass around a gut health survey and let them fill it out. And it actually talks about the different things that can, the different health issues that people can have that are connected to gut health. And then I take those from them and I talk about the specific issues that they have. Again, if I have team members there that are helping me so that I can look at those surveys while they're doing something else, talking about, gut health, or helping them with sourdough or whatever. But having that at least one other team member to help you is almost mandatory.
I agree. That's so true. And thank you for bringing up the sign up sheet. I want to give you guys this one as an example. Okay. This one has almost everybody answered yes or no. They put something as the answers, right? On the side, on the end, it says, please invite me to upcoming health events, such as salad in a jar and nutrition classes. And then, are they interested in hosting? So most people will say no, or a couple maybes on the hosting side. But then, please invite me to upcoming health events, perhaps, was one person's answer. I thought that was funny. And then everyone else was yes. So that was all the yeses and the answers here. The first person that signed on this sheet put their answer, right? Like the very first person has a check mark and no. But look at this one. the very first person did not check anything, and look how far down the list before anyone said yes. So I would say when you hand this out, put your own name or your husband's name or one of the helpers that are in the class. I will ask them to do it, or the person who hosts it. They start it out and they answer yes, yes. You will be shocked. It's like yes, 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 yes. Like, it's funny, but it works. So if you're doing one of these lists, make sure the very first person that signs in is one of us, and puts that, yeah, they will host it and they, want the information. And then you'll have people put a yes afterward. So it's just odd, but it's something we have learned. Yes, Patty?
I have to add, because I've been doing a ton of sourdough events too. And it's funny because I think most of you guys know I live in a very small town. And so I do not have team members here. And I just happen to have a team member that was 20 miles away, and I had an event at her house, and it was huge difference. Having people that can tell their stories is huge. In fact, I think I'm doing an event here Saturday, and I think I'm going to either do a Zoom or get some recorded stories so they can hear other ones other than just mine. But the other thing that I just shifted last time I did the event with this team member, which was from Stacy, is I changed the pattern of how I did it, just like she just said. But the other thing is, before we ended, I said a few people had some questions on the order forms. So I handed the order forms out. And out of 6 people, we got 4 orders. And so that was something I did different. And so that was a huge help. And then the other thing I learned from Stacy also is, which should answer your question, Tap, is that you talk about, you're here because this is a healthy option. And she says, sourdough is not going to make you healthy. It's a better option. This is why we talk about Juice Plus. We talk about the fruits and vegetables that are going to make a difference in your health. So to me, that was such an easy transition.
Yes, thank you, Patty, for bringing that back in, because that is part of it. When I'm very strong on that, of saying the plants powders, these capsules are what will make a difference in your health. Eating a loaf of sourdough is not going to change your health. That's not what makes a health, like, that would not have changed Jarrett's health 21 years ago. It was the capsules. It was feeding the good bacteria. This is a piece of the health puzzle to make healthier bread for your family, but it's not what's going to change your health. What's going to change your health are these capsules. And I know there were a couple of you that had questions and you were wanting to order, you wanted to know how this works. So let me just pass the order forms out. I mean, I did that at the last event, and sometimes it works and people order. And then sometimes they take the order forms with them. And, it just is, you just don't know. But sometimes people see them filling out and they see other people doing it and they don't want to miss out. And they're like, oh, I'm not crazy for thinking this is a good idea and ordering it. Somebody else is ordering it too, and they will place their order. So you've got to give them the opportunity, and again, incentivize what you want. What's the result that you want? The company right now wants us signing up more team members. What are they incentivizing? New team, $10 to join, and the $90 worth of samples when they get to Partner Plus. They're wanting to get more people Partner Plus. That's going to equate to more orders, customers coming in. But what is the goal? To get more team. That's what they're incentivizing. So think of it the same way for us. What's the goal? What we incentivize is what we're going to get. So Jarrett said that to me, and I was like, it's true. I'm incentivizing to get the card back. Why am I irritated I'm not getting orders? I'm getting what I incentivize. I have a whole stack of the cards. I have all their information to build them cards, but it was kind of a harder conversation. I mean, I was just sending the card to them at first, kind of like from the training we had. It seemed like that's what they were doing. They were just sending them the cart and people were just ordering. And I'm like, no, there has to be more to this conversation. There's got to be more to their process than just sending people a cart because they filled out the card. I don't know if anyone knows the people that have been really using the cards well. like the cart cards, there's got to be more to that. And I'm finding it's the same conversation follow up we've had to have. I'm having to engage them. And, just because they filled out the card doesn't even mean they're that interested in Juice Plus. So I'm going to have to bring that back up. What is their interest? Like, I didn't get to talk to them. I don't know them on that level to know that. I'm going to have to discover that with you. It's going to take a longer process. I would say do all you can to get that order at the event, because when they leave the event out of mind, they're just on to something else, and it's going to take more time and effort to bring them back in. So what can you do to ensure that you're really bringing that conversation boldly, and you're bringing in the order form confidently, and you're leading them to order, incentivize with a free week first of Juice Plus, like one capsule of each of 5 days until their box gets in. I don't know, like I sort of missed that boat. What if I had pill boxes with Juice Plus in it and said, you've got your first week free here if anyone that orders. Like, let's incentivize the order, not just the information, is what I would leave with my learnings from Alabama. So, all right, anyone else want to share?
No, but I still have a question.
Okay.
Okay, I thank you for going into managing expectations, because that certainly is a huge part of it. And I already realized that I'm going to end up in follow-up to get a lot of these customers. But what I'm trying to find out is the sourdough party is a lot of work compared to some others that we do. Are people getting business from this in any greater volume than they would with a salad in a jar party?
Yes, to me, I am. We can get people to a salad in a jar party, and I would say tap, it's a piece of the puzzle. And sourdough brings in cold market people to me. Now that I'm hosting them, I've hosted like the first ones, it was like my customers and team. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to build business. Right? Like, they're already on Juice Plus. And that was probably like my first 3. But now over time, it's definitely increased to where the majority of the people that are coming to my event, the sourdough event, are cold market, or they're not people that I personally know, but they've seen my post, or somebody else has told them, like, I have a waiting list for my next one. So then I did, I did a street taco event, and 6 of 5 people came, but they were all the same family, and they did not order. They had not come from a sourdough event. The next week we did the same event. We had 26 people that came. And when I looked around the room, the high majority of them were from a sourdough event. So a regular Juice Plus event is needed to kind of bring those people in that didn't order, that were interested. And we got team members and customers that night. So it's the totality of all of the events. It's not just the sourdough. Sourdough gives you a reason to have a conversation with someone. It's a great conversation starter. It's something that draws people in. It's an easier way to get people into the event. The event itself takes more time and effort and planning, but as you do them, you get to where you've got this rhythm and you're better at it. And then understanding, again, it's sort of the piece of that conversation puzzle. They may or may not order. Let's incentivize the order, but then have other events that we keep inviting those people back to. And the accumulation of all of that is what is. So if we have the expectation, I do a sourdough event, everybody that comes is going to order, and they don't. And then we're like, see, they don't work. That's true for any event that we do. It's just sourdough brings people to that conversation easier than others. I mean, a salad bar party is harder than just a one simple change event, right? Because you have to prep the food, you have to assign toppings to people, you have to remind them to bring their jars. Like any of those types of events, it's kind of the value added events, if you will, are going to have more time and prep involved with them than one simple change, or you're watching a video, a watch party per se. The watch parties are great because you're just maybe bringing dinner. I would say like cook dinner. Like you can do a pot of taco soup or vegetable soup that's not expensive, that will feed a lot of people. And just because you're feeding them, they're more likely to come. And like food brings people to the conversation, to the table. I'm telling you guys, street tacos, do it. It's just a little tortilla. Instead of a big burrito tortilla, it's these little ones that say street tacos. Look up street taco, chicken street tacos on online for a recipe, and it's not difficult, but that brings people to where they're like, yeah, I love tacos. And it's kind of across the board. I don't think just here in New Mexico, but it's all of those events together, right? It's the accumulation of the follow-up, and the events become another follow-up to those sourdough people. So I don't know, does that help?
It does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Hey, Stacy, you bring up a great point. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Marcia.
You bring up a great point that I learned a long time ago, and I've kind of forgotten it. And that is, when you have an event, go to an event prepared to tell them about the next event. And so every sourdough should have an event, whatever's coming up. I mean, even if it's just, Wendy's Wow in the Y, you've got something to invite them to, even if it's just Zoom, but invite them to the next thing there. And so that's something I have not been doing, and that's a great point. So you touched on that a little, and I think we should all go prepared to invite to the next thing.
Yes, and if you don't have it planned right, then it's another reason to reach out to them. Hey, we're going to be doing this event, and I thought you would like it. And it's another reach out. So events give me another reason to connect with people besides, did you watch the video, or what did you like about the information? It's another conversation piece. Lisa, you wanted to share something?
I was just going to ask you a little bit more on the street tacos. Is that something that you do, and you have people bring things like doing salad in a jar, burrito in a jar, that kind of thing? Or are you providing the street tacos and just inviting people over?
I typically do that. So you can have team members help out. And if a customer or a prospect ever asks you, yeah, I would like to come, can I bring something? Absolutely. Like bag of shredded cheese, 2 tomatoes cut up, whatever. If they are bringing something, they're less likely to back out because they're like, I said I was bringing the cheese. I have to bring the cheese. So if they ask, can I bring something? Assign them something. 12 bottles of water, I don't know, like a bag of ice, anything, because they're more likely to come. And same thing for team. If team says, hey, I'm coming, what can I add to it? I will just ask them to bring, something to it. So I typically do the chicken in the crock pot. So that's easy. And I, just start that earlier in the day. And then I have a Mexican slaw that I make. Again, it's not the perfect recipe. It's not, people coming do not know like that I have great street tacos. I don't even know if they're great. I think it's just that I'm providing dinner. So just find something online. Like I don't have a recipe that I follow exactly, and this is the one, but there's lots of different options for those. It's the little street tacos. They will say street tacos on the package, and they're just small. The tortillas are like this big, and you can buy flour ones and corn. I give both options, and I'm not worried like, oh no, is this the healthiest tortilla? Like that's not the point, because healthy tortillas are not going to make a difference in their health. It's the Juice Plus. Like that's what we're there to teach them about. So that I would say I provide the majority of it, but if somebody says, can I bring something? I say yes. And then I, of course, write that off as for taxes. Keep your receipt, because you can write that off.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to end this for us. Thanks everyone for joining us.